Well, good morning, Marquette. Happy Monday morning. Today is March 8th in the year 2021, and this is Everywhere If You Look. We are thrilled to have you with us. My name is Steve Blaha. I'm a campus minister here at Marquette University, joined by my co-host.
I'm Megan Sheehan. I work in mission and ministry.
And we're thrilled to welcome Dr. Xavier Cole, Vice President of Student Affairs. So put your hands together, Marquette. This is quite the lineup this morning.
Yes, indeed.
We want to wish a happy Lent, a blessed Lent to all people observing it, all Christians across the world, across campus, and a happy Women's History Month. This is a big month, an important, essential month, and we're grateful to celebrate it together with you. And Megan, take it away.
Absolutely. And I also happy International Women's Day today. So, yep. So this is Everywhere If You Look. And the premise of the show is that we are encouraging each other and you to remember that God really is everywhere if we just look, that God's offering God's grace to us at every moment. Also reflected in the Ignatian spirituality concept of finding God in all things. So God is everywhere if you look. And as we talk with different people in the Marquette community, we begin to see that more and more. And we are blessed to hear the witness of how people live their faith in their everyday lives.
We're thrilled to have Dr. Cole with us this morning. So Dr. Cole, welcome to the Monday morning hot seat here on campus in the YouTube world. Tell us a little bit, Dr. Cole, tell us a little bit, some fun facts about you.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm in my 5th year at Marquette. I'm very grateful for all 5 years, even the COVID year. It's allowed for me to see so much of the community and speak to, interact with just all facets of the university. Not that I didn't have that opportunity before, but it really necessitated that I do that to do the work that I'm doing beyond my student affairs seat with COVID response. I'm a Southerner. Even though my state is in the news with some of their opening decisions, I'm a proud Mississippian, born and raised there, went to Ole Miss the whole 9 yards. I've been out of the South, though, for a while, working in Maryland and now here in Wisconsin happily. And another fun thing, I'm also a musician, not so much active right now in COVID times, but pre-COVID times, pretty active musician locally and actually traveling back to Maryland, big band swing music, quite geeky, but quite satisfying. But also part of what I would call a ministry and part of what I would call my deep spirituality. That connection with and interaction with music as an expression, where I see and hear beauty, is certainly a place that I experience God moments. Is in that space, so I'll be happy to lean back into that more deeply once this pandemic is past us.
What instrument do you play, or instruments, Dr. Cole?
I'm a trombone player primarily, but I can play all the brass. And it's been a joy since I was a child. And it's interesting, even in my faith journey, as I tried to, get comfortable with silent retreats, or as I leaned into meditation moments over my time, and as a Catholic, music has always been a big part of that, whether it's liturgical music, which I also play and listen to very actively, or whether it's any music that just brings me joy. And so that's one of these, you see God everywhere, you feel God everywhere, you can hear God, and certainly can make himself manifest in music. And that's certainly the case for me.
And you've played at university liturgies before. Up in the balcony there, where the musicians make the magic happen.
Yeah, luckily enough that I've been asked to do that a couple times and been allowed to do that. And it's great that I get to not only spend time with our students who do liturgical ministry, singing and playing, but I also get to meet local, very talented professional musicians in the area who also help us out time to time. And when it's right, it's right. I just remember a couple of either Easter services or other big services where I was able to play. Where when we're playing that music, it really does get in you, and hopefully you hear that as a listener throughout the church and chapel. It really is a moment it's my contribution. It is how I pray very often.
Dr. Cole, I used to live in New Orleans, and so I have a hypothetical question for you. Is there any setting or situation that a brass band is not called for?
Mm-mm. It can bring joy anywhere it pops up. And so I'm completely open to that. And it's interesting. The people ask me all the time, "Can you bring your trombone here? You can play there." I'm like, let me be clear. It is not a campfire instrument, so it's not like the guitar, which is portable and pretty accessible. But it is fun, and I do love it.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
And I know what you mean about, there is something really, really special about doing worship music, liturgical music. We were really blessed to have Steve Burks on here, our new gospel choir director, a couple weeks ago. And he was talking a little bit about that, and he got to share some of his music. So it just reminded me of that. But yeah, thanks for sharing that gift. I feel like maybe our intro show was a little bit or our intro tune was a little jazzy. I don't know.
I got to tell you, Megan, I'm always bopping.
I was bopping back and forth. It was very nice.
I couldn't recognize the brass, but maybe you could. Yeah. So yes, thanks for sharing that. Do we have any other fun facts?
I'm wondering how you survive Milwaukee winters. That's one question I have.
I was going to say the same thing. That's weird.
Well, let's just say that I've accepted that winter will come, and I understand that spring will also come. And so it's the waiting, right? It's the advent. It is the patience that we need to have to know that there will be a transformation and there are good things to come. I mean, there's so many parallels with nature and spirituality, and particularly as I think about some of the most poignant moments I've ever had with spirituality, it did not involve music. I was at a silent retreat out in Sedalia, Colorado, not an area of the country I'm very familiar with, and just this beautiful mountain landscape. And it's just different colors than where I was in Maryland, different colors of the sky and landscape than where I grew up on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. It was these reds and oranges and interesting hues. And I was standing out in the garden. I was overlooking this landscape, and it had a statue of Jesus as a silhouette to this background. And hearing the wind, just hearing nature itself, it was just such a wonderful moment. I knew, and I felt very deeply connection to the place, connection to my faith, connection to the people that I love that have passed on, or I could have the moment to speak with them about my life. It gave me an opportunity to commune that was wholly unexpected. It was one of those things I hadn't planned for it. I didn't know what to expect, but when it was present with me, I paid attention to that moment, and I stayed there in that moment, wherever it was going to take me, whether that brought me happiness or whether it brought me sadness, or grief. I was going to stay in that place because I realized that this was special, and it was God speaking to me. I also recognize that what a blessing it is to be able to even have these conversations while during my workday, in my workplace. That's encouraged. It's just something that's so integral to doing the work, to be able to express and fully realize this part of myself and have it be not necessarily on display, but have it be known and not have to hide it in any way. And it provides a freedom that I think helps me very much be able to do my work, but also connect to people in a very different and meaningful way. which is extremely important to my work. It creates bond, it creates trust sometimes when it's there consistently. But the ability to share faith when it's appropriate. It's not always appropriate in certain moments. Sometimes people just want to know the business and that's it, and they may not be where you are. But when those two things connect, it helps us to be able to communicate, I think, at a deeper level. And that is a real blessing to work at a Jesuit Catholic school to be able to do that, or Catholic Jesuit, or however you want to place primacy.
That's awesome. And thank you for sharing that. I mean, that moment of consolation that you had, I think people could relate to that, pinpointing a time in their life when they kind of just feel the sacred, feel the holy. Mm-hmm. And of course, in Ignatian spirituality, to which I know you're not a stranger, that name of consolation and recalling it in times when things are more difficult is a gift that God offers it. And what you were just saying, I imagine that in your work, being aware of those moments where faith intersect with the business, I imagine that your heightened awareness to that possibility comes into play pretty often in a Catholic Jesuit school.
It does, and it's been much more present during COVID. Why? Because if you think back a year ago now, almost to the day, when we were all made much more aware of what might be coming, what we need to do in order to be self-protective and community protective, there was so much uncertainty and anxiety about what would happen, what would survive. Would I get COVID? Would I pass away from it? Would I lose people? And all those things have happened in our community. Having faith as a necessary adjunct to other conversations helps us, again, meet people where they are, to help them also tap into ways of consolation when we're worried about the why. Why is this happening to us? Why is it happening now? Why has this happened to me? We've had, community members lose their jobs. We've had many, many difficult things happen. We've lost community members as very recently. These why questions are very big. And so when you have the opportunity to be able to look within yourself to make sense of it for you as an individual, and then be able to share where you are as far as how do we move forward then? How then do we proceed if we are in grief? How do we proceed if we have major and unknown challenges in front of us? How do we proceed? This is life. This is what life is. And it requires not only a faith, but it requires a real toughness that we all need help buttressing from time to time. I had my ups and downs during the last year. Some places where I felt that I had things completely together and at hand, and some places at times I thought, well, this is just kind of teetering out of control. And so but it was those moments where I knew I needed to pull back, ask for help when I needed it, allow help to come in, which is one of the harder things to do for anyone to receive help, care, support. It's for me easier to give than receive that. But this time has allowed for me to be able to be open to that, knowing that that was important, not just for me to be able to provide help and support and solace, but to also be able to receive it. It makes us human. And it certainly, again, helps with the connection with the people that I work with to know that, we need each other. And the answers aren't just in me or just a handful of people. The answers to how we now proceed are in all of us. And that's why I really call on our community to be our best selves in this moment. That's what it's going to take. There are enough difficulties that we have to deal with outside of our control. We can basically work together, and let's work in community and solidarity, and with honoring the person, respecting the person, being good to the person, being respectful of the person as much as we can every day, and don't be careless with the power that we have to hurt. That helps us get to the other side of this a hell of a lot more quickly. Excuse the word hell, but it felt appropriate. And that's what helps us get to the other side of this. us truly being our best selves as we can. I step back from that. I'm not always perfect. I'll be the first to admit that. And there'll be probably a lot of people that step forward and tell you that, they know they've seen me not be in a moment. I own that. I apologize for it. I ask for the help and I move forward. So if I can model that, then I think I'm doing the best that I can in that moment.
Yeah, big time, Dr. Cole. Like the experiences that you're naming personally, professionally, but also ours as a community during this pandemic really have been experiences of that profound mystery of human suffering. Like, why does suffering exist? How do we do this together? And your call and reminder to us that to enter into this reality together, to be in community, to accompany each other is where love starts to grow, explode, to be shared, and to bring about healing and a hope-filled future. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I think it's good to use this specific language, Steve, and I appreciate that. And so it's the fully accessible language, like lay terms that we use to describe this, but there are also Ignatian terms that describe this. There's also an Ignatian framework that can help us understand and communicate more effectively around these issues as we talk about the apostolic preferences, as we talk about a hope-filled future, as we talk about accompanying others, as we talk about love openly. That's important for us to be able to be in touch with that language. And not that it's just like this exclusive club. We willingly share this information for others to use and for us to model. But I think that is and can be a greater strength of our university, that we understand the mission and how it's operating in that way, even through the language that we choose to use in order to get us on a similar page so we can do the work more efficiently, effectively. And when I say those words, I don't mean to be business jargony. I just mean us to be much more looking at the effective part of it, that we want us to be successful in the work that we're doing, because it's always been important, but the stakes are so much higher nowadays.
Right.
So we want to lean into every advantage we have, and our mission is a marked and very notable advantage for everyone to use in this institution, be a Jesuit, a religious, or layperson.
Yeah, because it's all about human flourishing. And during this pandemic, I mean, we really see, just sort of the life and death, sort of dynamic and spectrum of how do we get through a pandemic? How do we get through this moment? How does our institutional values, how does the education, the people our students are becoming, how does that create a positive momentum and movement and witness and leadership in our world during this time that can lead to greater human flourishing? So it all matters, very practically. Indeed. Yeah.
And I really appreciate, Dr. Cole, you're sharing a little bit about, the struggle of leading in a pandemic. I think, not just leading, but I think I relate to that struggle too, because we're all in this new situation that we have never had to navigate before. And that includes our leadership. And I think, that's good for us to remember. And also it's encouraging just to hear you in your position as vice president saying, this is hard for me too. I've made mistakes, and just connecting to everybody in that humanness of this is a new thing. And at the same time, I also appreciate you just naming that how we speak about these things is important, and what language we use is important. And we are really in a cool situation because our Ignatian spirituality, our Catholic Jesuit background does give us language to use specifically in times like these. And so we have, that to me, that's like kind of an advantage. And not like it's a competition, but we have this toolbox of words and everything that we've learned. It's like, this is a kind of time that we have been preparing for. Now let's see what we're made of,
And Megan, I think the extension of this and the next step is for us not just to use it for crisis management and not just to use it for large institutional decision making. How do we bake this type of discernment, that's group discernment sometimes and sometimes individual discernment, into our everyday decisions? Because it will make a difference. It will tie these decisions together. It'll give, this is important for a leader to provide some consistency of decision making, that others know what to expect, and then they can also meet that expectation. It provides a roadmap for us. And again, it needs to be tweaked, it needs to be nurtured, it needs to be grown, just like any other living organism. Our faith needs constant work and attention. And I think that's the thing that, sometimes we don't pay attention to, that, whether it's just on a Sunday during Mass or whatever your faith tradition, the need for prayer, the need for reflection is important all the time. And I think about this. I was just recently stuck with trying to understand and open my mind up about a decision. We were needing to make some decisions around COVID work, and those can get complicated. If you pull one lever, another lever moves type of situation. And I found myself not paralyzed by the decision, but certainly stuck about seeing a larger scope to pull back from. Like, I was pretty in the weeds and needed to pull back, 10, 20, 30,000 feet so I could panoptically see, this problem, and then zero back in with a possible approach, not necessarily a solution, with the team. And on a Friday morning, I was not doing a great job seeing the big picture and getting frustrated by things, or felt like I was in a maze where I was running into dead ends. So I knew that. Again, the important thing, I acknowledged it. Like, this isn't going well. I created the space. I need to take some time to think about this. We'll come back to this on Monday. Took the weekend, didn't do work, pull back, let myself power down and power back up. And the perspective naturally started to flow. There was so much noise that the possible solutions, or being able to see the issue more clearly, didn't come forward. Now, it also involved me listening. It involved me listening to colleagues. It involved people putting their suggestions in. It involved me also taking those things in to help me come back on Monday with a fresh perspective, energized, more positive, that we could resolve the problem, and trusting that the solution was within this university, within the people. And that's also important for leadership, to be able to trust that the solution is not just sitting with you. The solution is within your community. And if you ignore or don't solicit or allow for that to come out in your leadership, then you're basically leading yourself by yourself. And so it did. It made itself very apparent, and I was in a better place on Monday, and we're able to at least start to move incrementally forward. So I really, I noticed that, and I named it for the team, that I pulled back and I allowed myself to basically get the headspace and did some reflection. And that's how I got to where I am now. It wasn't by accident, and it required some work, but a different type of work. Work to let go, work to allow for the Spirit to come in. And then
thanks for that, Dr. Cole. Thanks for just your openness, and just this intimate look into what's going on interiorly within yourself in a situation that many of us may encounter in different ways, and certainly probably with different levels of gravity in our lives. But when we find, ourselves knotted up or a log jam, how do we get perspective? And, as you named, like taking some distance, going for the 20, 30,000 foot look, taking a weekend, reflecting, not doing work, to just step away, and to have that perspective really open up for you. Those are some beautiful wells that you draw from. Are there other, resources or wells for lack of a better metaphor, where you draw water from, where you maybe even on campus within the community, are there spaces, are there people that just really like help you be nourished in body, mind, and soul?
Oh, certainly. As far as people are concerned, a spiritual advisor and confidant that I've had for a while, who's accompanying me since my first days on campus, has been Michael Dante. There are others. There's Sister Ann. Those two in the Faber Center, which is a wonderful resource for our community. They've been there for me in good times, bad times. They check in on me when I don't solicit. I'll get a message from Michael just out of the blue saying that he's thinking about me and praying for me. That matters, that you have folks in your corner in that way. That is all part of their job, but also part of a relationship that we've built since my first days on campus. And they may get overwhelmed by people flooding into them that are listening to this broadcast, and I think that's okay. We'll just add more people to the hopper to be that touchstone for anyone who seeks consolation, anyone who seeks accompaniment through this very confusing and difficult journey that life can sometimes be. And that's why it's so important to be able to get into good spaces so you can appreciate those things that are life-giving and life-affirming and not just life-taking, or draining. That's really, really important. As far as the other things, I read when I can. When it's not for teaching class or other things, I'll pick up on Jim Martin's Everything You Want to Know, or Everything You Need to Know about Jesuit Ignatian Spirituality. I think that's the title.
Yep.
That is a rich resource that continues to give to me. I read it years ago and I almost read it anew today with years of experience behind me. It always speaks to me in many ways. And my mother, she's passed, she had a Serenity card. It was among her things when she passed away that I inherited, and I have it. It's beautiful. The artwork on it's beautiful, but it's the God grant me the serenity, accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. If my approach to the world and leadership and my staff and my relationships isn't reflected in that, I would be surprised, because it's always operating in the background for me. Those three frames: serenity, courage, and wisdom, and understanding where I am in these moments and what my agency is and what it isn't. And so those are the important things for me: is people. It's my good, my accompaniment by by my mother, and just educating myself further, which is also part of what we do.
Wow.
Thank you, Dr. Cole. Wow.
Dr. Cole, it's really encouraging just to hear the intentionality, the thoughtfulness, the prayer, and just the self-awareness that you bring into your position. This is why we made this show, to hear these encouraging words, to see how God is working in people's lives, to see how people live their faith in everyday lives. And because of the nature of your position, we don't always have these kinds of conversations with you or other leadership in the school. And this conversation is just very encouraging, knowing the intentionality with which you lead. And I just wanted to mention, in the beginning of the school year, we had the Mass of the Holy Spirit, and we had these colorful doves all over the chapel of the Holy Family. And we had all sorts of different words that we felt were speaking to our time in history. And the hope was that they would offer encouragement, they would offer reflection. And one of them was inspired by you. I think I may have told you this, but I will tell you again. If I didn't, I'm sorry. But you had, in one of the addresses to the school in the beginning of the year regarding COVID and everything, you had said, "This is a mission worth fighting for." So on one of the colorful doves, we had "Mission Worth Fighting For," and that was directly inspired by you. And as I sat there, listening to you speak, that really stuck out to me, because it charged me, because, I felt it in me too. This is the mission I'm worth fighting for. Now hearing another person say it and saying it to the entire school, it felt very inspiring and unifying. So I thank you very much for that. And maybe I can send you a picture of that dove.
You're very welcome, and I'm quite gratified. I probably said this in a fit.
Hey, there's grace in that too, Dr. Cole. There's grace in that too.
Some rant, because it was such intense times.
Yes.
But I think it was called to question, like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you taking this risk? I was like, aren't we all at risk? But let's, if it's a risk that, if it means that we're trying, it's always been about, how do we take care of Marquette? Marquette are the people, plain and simple. Otherwise it's just any landscape anywhere with buildings. It's the people, and that's what I was thinking about. When I think about the mission, I think the mission that lives in us. And some people may not understand it, some people may not embrace it, but it's still there for you, and you will come to it when it's time for you to understand it. If something spurs by something I do or say, or that you do or say, or others do or say, that helps people get there sooner, then more power to them, because we need this sooner in our lives. And it took me 25 years to have this introduced to me, this mission and what it means, and give me a way in which to approach my life that I found had meaning. Someone can get that sooner. If we can get it into our undergrads at 18, if they have it before they come, even better. They're just going to do more good work that's good for people over their lifetimes. And frankly, what else is there?
Yeah.
Spot on.
Thank you.
Spot on.
Yeah. And, see exactly what you said, you don't even remember maybe saying that, or you said, who knows what led you to say it, but things like that, God works through us when we're open to grace and we're open to God, and we do things with the intentionality that you're speaking of. God spoke through you. That's how I feel. So thank you for that. And I guess we're past the hour. You don't have anything else to do today, Dr. Cole, do you?
Today's a light day.
I do. I was looking, do I have anything right now? No, I'm good. I cleared my next 30, and so I'm good until 11. But it did go fast. I appreciate the ask. When I do things like this, I really don't think about what's happening outside or how far this is reaching. I am present with you all, and I appreciate the ability for you to have me feel that way. For anyone who's thinking about doing this, or you've been asked to do this, please go ahead and do it. Trust me, I've gotten much more out of this than you probably have. So I appreciate the opportunity for me to pause in my day to be reflective about my faith and this mission and what it means to me. It really does help me manage the rest of my day and my week. And again, that's the power of this mission. That's the power of prayer. And that's the power of the relationship that God can have in your life if you allow it to be so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Dr. Cole. We'll leave that as a mic drop right now.
Yeah, although I do have to say, with what you just said, and we were talking about Spider-Man before the show, with great power comes great responsibility. And I guess I just thank you for, taking that responsibility seriously, and having that intentionality.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Cole, for who you are and what you do for us as a Marquette community, for our students. And thanks for joining us this morning.
Yes.
My pleasure.
Anytime. Take care. God bless you.
Have a great day. Good luck today, Dr. Cole.
Thank you very much.
That was wonderful, Megan.
That was. Yes. That was really nice.
Yeah. Good to be with Dr. Cole this morning and kicking off a week here on campus.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
a sunny week.
Yeah, you know, I look outside and the snow from 1 minute literally to maybe 10 minutes later, it's like radically changing. I'm like, whoa, what's going on here?
You mean it's melting?
It's disappearing.
That's what I like
Yeah.
to hear. That's
I presume it is.
I
But,
think
you
so
know,
too. And actually, it's been pretty kind to us. Like, it's been a gradual, which I think in some ways we're like, come on, just go away. But at the same time, then there's no huge floods.
yeah, that is true. That is true. We want it. We want no flooding.
We want no flooding.
No flooding. So
That's right.
cool. Well, Megan, what do we got going on here the rest of the week? We got sunshine. We've got a mental health day on Wednesday for students. Good days ahead.
Yes. And speaking of the mental health day, on Wednesday, campus ministry is offering a program called Listening Within with a woman who is educated in both theology and is a yoga instructor, Katie Dorner. And she is offering, I think it's at 10 or 10:30. Sorry, people. Her program. So if you're interested in combining, prayer with movement, with yoga, embodied prayer, and you want to start your mental health day off with that, you can still sign up.
And where would they sign up, Megan?
Yeah, I'm going to put it in the chat right now.
All right. I did see something on the campus ministry website about it, so that's a good thing. So
yeah, when in doubt, head to the campus ministry website, which is marquette.edu/campus-ministry. But I will also put the link in this chat here.
Cool. Yeah, and these mental health days, so important just to take as much of it as quality downtime. We were talking with Dr. Cole about just sort of going to the wells that rejuvenate us. And so hopefully students will use that. And this is a wonderful opportunity. Like if you're available and you would find this life-giving, go for it. So we got that. Also on Wednesday, we'll have a special edition of Ignite at 7:30 in the Chapel of the Holy Family. And it's just going to be a community builder extravaganza. So if you're looking to I would like to just connect with other students, have a good laugh for a little bit of time, come to Ignite, 7:30 this Wednesday. Community builders, our team has them all set up. They look like tons of fun and just really easy. You can leave your brain at the door or you can bring it with you, whatever is the least burden.
There you go. Yeah, and speaking of Wednesday, there will not be a soup with substance because it is a mental health day, so they're taking the week off. But we do have a lot of usual programming this week. We have Eucharistic Adoration on Tuesday evening and Wednesday morning offered in the Chapel of the Holy Family. You can sign up for that in the link that I just put in the chat. We also have Mass Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon, and Tuesday and Thursday at 10, both in the Chapel of the Holy Family.
And folks, you're invited Thursday evening at the 10 p.m. Mass to join our newly elect, our students who are preparing for baptism, confirmation, Eucharist during this Lenten season. Join them. As part of the Mass, we're going to have a special RCIA ritual called the Presentation of the Creed, where the community will give to these wonderful students preparing for baptism, will give them the creed, the belief of the church. So it's really cool. And you don't have to prep anything for it, just come. So pre-register, sign up, Mass, 10 p.m. this Thursday.
Awesome.
That's all I got, Megan.
That's everything?
I got coffee, and that's everything.
Well, we do have Holy Week is coming up, and I don't know how often this happens or if it ever happens, but the entirety of Holy Week is being celebrated on campus this year.
Never happens.
Never has happened. I was corrected that we do often have Palm Sunday on campus.
Oh, we always have Palm Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah. Palm Sunday is always on campus. Yep.
So Thomas Anderson, he keeps me in check, but so now I'm really using, this is the first time the entirety of Holy Week is celebrated on campus. So all 7 days. And so that's,
or 8, depending on how you count.
or 8. That's right, because 2 Sundays. Okay, thank you, Steve. See, people keep me on my toes, and I deserve it. And so what I'm trying to say is that you can sign up now for all of the masses for Holy Week. Masses or Eucharistic liturgies are available for the week. The services for Holy Week, that sign up is now open. And that also includes a few Spanish masses, Misa en Español, on Palm Sunday, as well as, I believe, the Easter Vigil. So, sign up now. Unfortunately, we do have limited capacity due to COVID-19. So here we offer to our viewers this special reminder to go sign up.
That's great. And Megan, I mentioned 8 not as a pointing out something to you, but in Christian theology, the 8th day, the days of creation, there's 8 because the 8th day is the day of the resurrection. And so Easter Sunday, specifically helps us see this pop in a new way. It's also why the Chapel of the Holy Family is an octagon, 8-sided. So there you go, Marquette. There's your wacky trivia of the day. With that and 25 cents, you have a quarter.
Yes. Thank you for that. Yes, that is all good information. Okay, Steve, are we ready to end?
I am all set. I am ready, Megan.
I think
I'm
so.
willing.
Well, today is International Women's Day, and so I thought I would just first offer this quotation from Thea Bauman, who is an awesome Catholic woman in our church history, recent church history, and she did spend some time at Marquette as well. So
she is a rock star.
Yes. So look into her to learn more, but I did want to offer this quote because it actually kind of reminded me Dr. Cole's words reminded me of this quotation from her. I know that God is using me in ways beyond my comprehension. And it just reminded me of that. When you're open to God's grace, that God really can. God can do more than what we can with what we're doing. And so I offer that quote. And then because Dr. Cole mentioned it, I think I would just end with the Serenity Prayer. How does that sound?
Genius.
All right. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, Megan. Wow.
Yeah.
More mic drops on the end there.
Yeah. Let's have a good week.
Yes,
Everybody
you too, Megan.
safe and
you too, Marquette.
Yeah, God bless you, Marquette. Take care.
Be safe out there, Marquette.
Oh, wait, hold on.